All right, joining us now, former chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty of Ohio. She is a National Advisory Board member for the Biden-Harris campaign and is calling on her colleagues to continue to support the president. And I'm wondering if you're hearing back from your colleagues that whether or not they will support President Biden.
First of all, let me just say thank you. And yes, yesterday, as a matter of fact, I just returned from being in New Orleans at the Essence Festival and Conference, where many of us took to the stage before the vice president spoke. And we sent a clear message, joined with our chairman, Stephen Horsford, and Congresswoman Maxine Waters. We are 100% with the president. We are standing up with the Biden-Harris team because they have delivered for protecting our freedom and our democracy. We know this is the most consequential election in our lifetime, and we know what's at stake. And we're making sure that we crisscross the United States, making sure that we say to the American people, let's not judge our president on a 90-minute performance. You have to look at 3.5 years. You have to look at his lifetime of commitment and what's at stake and what the alternatives are. Someone who's about retribution, someone who is about revenge, someone who wants to be a dictator. So I think we have to continue to stand together. He has had overwhelming support by Black Americans. And so I stand with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Jonathan Martin is with us and has a question. Jonathan.
Hey, Congresswoman Jonathan Martin here. Just curious if you could speak to the generational dynamics within the CBC and particularly the role that the more senior folks like Maxine Waters and Jim Clyburn play and how much their perspective matters in shaping the public and private sentiments of the younger members of the caucus.
We have a very diverse Congressional Black Caucus, and certainly people like Maxine Waters and Jim Clyburn. They're historians. They provide great leadership, but also mentorship. They relate very well to our younger members. We have a young member of Congress from the great state of Ohio, my state. She has been very strong, very forceful, and she is supporting President Biden. Another younger member, Shontel Brown and Amelia Sykes, both Black women, active members of the CBC. Shontel also serves as an advisor. We have people like Jasmine Crockett, progressive, very much joined us in New Orleans, 100% supporting President Biden. So I think it's not just about the differences in our age, it's about what he is delivering. When you look at what Black Americans and Americans are asking for, they're concerned about health care. They're concerned about the economy and jobs and education. And President Biden has delivered on those things. I mean, think about it. What he's done, more than 15 million jobs. And Black Americans are in those jobs. When you think about capping insulin at $35 a month, do you know how many Black individuals are dealing with being diabetic? I know, I'm diabetic. Putting a $2,000 cap on medical costs for our seniors, these are the things that people should be looking at. And we've been here before. In 2020, there were polls, there were people who were saying that Biden couldn't win. When you look at the thing about age, he was the same age when he delivered the State of the Union address a few months ago, and members stood up in that chamber and applauded him for his delivery, for his work, and for his presentation. So let's not get it twisted. Let's not deal with just the last 90 minutes of a debate against someone who's a dictator, someone who lies repeatedly, and someone who didn't answer any of the questions either. And we didn't have media and other folks saying, let's challenge or question Trump on his ability to lead. But maybe that's because we know he won't and he can't lead.
Congresswoman Jim Van Hyde, Axios, the members of Congress who have called, your colleagues who have called for him to step aside, I think what they would say to that is, right, yeah, we agree that if you look backward, everything that you just said squares with their view. I think their concern is that wasn't just a blip, that they've sort of watched the president, especially over the last 3 months, and he does seem like getting older is starting to take a toll, and they wonder, often on behalf of their voters, can he really do this at 82, 83, 84, 85, 86? You feel 100% certain that you could look at your colleagues and look at voters and say, yes, he's sharp as ever, and I am highly, highly confident that he could do this gig 5 years henceforth?
So let me answer like this. First of all, he was asked, was it an episode or a condition? He said it was an episode. He was sick. He had a cold. He had a bad day. He admitted that. And that's the first step. Someone admits he had a bad day. He made a mistake. We all have. But the second thing, none of those individuals are medical doctors. So I support the president. I believe that it was an episode. I believe that he had a bad day. And I believe that he is ready and positioned to run to be president in this November election. Life is not promised to any of us. But what I am saying, let's get through this election. Let's support this president because he is our very best option to beat Donald Trump. He is the only one, unequivocally, who has a reputation of delivering, someone who has delivered for the American people, black, white, and other. So, yes, I can look at my colleagues and say, I stand with Joe Biden going into the convention. As a delegate, I'm going to support him. I stand with Joe Biden as being our next president, with Kamala Harris standing right next to him as our vice president.
Former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Democratic Congresswoman Joyce Beatty of Ohio. Thank you very much for being on the show this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.